We're looking at the foundation of the C-suite. These are the folks pulling in salaries in the $270,000 range. And the chief operating officer is the very first piece of this puzzle at number 12.
Right, the COO. They pull down about $270K a year, and they are the execution engine.
The ones making it actually happen.
Precisely. If other executives are deciding the why and the where, the COO is entirely focused on the how, the when, and the with what. But let's look at how that actually impacts the environment. Because in a lot of mid-sized firms, sustainable design often collapses because it relies on what the industry calls rogue heroes.
Wait, rogue heroes? Like an architect going off script to sneak solar panels into a design?
Exactly that. Like a passionate lead designer who fights tooth and nail to make their specific project green.
Okay, but isn't that a good thing?
It is, but the problem is that doesn't scale. The COO's job is to build a system where environmental performance isn't some heroic special effort, it's just the baseline routine.
Oh, I see. So they make it the default.
Yeah, they embed green workflows into the firm's DNA, they set up early quality assurance gates, so a design literally cannot move forward unless it hits certain carbon targets.
I'm going to pause on that for a second.
Yeah.
Because it makes me think about anyone listening who works in a massive corporate structure.
Oh, absolutely.
We all know what happens when a new initiative is just like encouraged versus when it's a mandatory part of the workflow.
Yeah.
The COO makes sustainability mandatory.
They do. But it's stressful. The source mentions their mornings are all dashboards and burn rates. And late in the day, they're dealing with culture and tough staffing decisions.
I'm assuming burn rates are a massive risk when you are trying to innovate.
Huge risk. The COO is constantly monitoring utilization. Basically, how many hours staff are billing versus how much they cost.
Right.
If a team spends an extra 100 hours trying to source low-carbon concrete, but they can't bill the client for that time, the project bleeds money, and the staff burns out.
So the COO has to figure out how to do it faster.
Exactly. They build delivery systems so that sourcing that green concrete takes 10 hours, not 100.
Which perfectly transitions to the person sitting right next to them at number 11, the chief financial officer, pulling in around $275,000 a year.
The steward of reality.
I love that phrase from the source. But realistically, doesn't the finance department usually kill sustainability initiatives? Because, they cost too much upfront.
Well, a traditional conservative finance view absolutely would. But a strategic CFO in this space operates differently.
How so?
They don't just look at the upfront cost of, say, training staff on new environmental software. They turn that expense into a long-term investment portfolio.
Oh, okay.
They prove that investing in green capabilities drives differentiation in the market. It wins more lucrative bids and ultimately protects the firm's long-term margins.
So they are essentially proving that saving the planet is a profitable business strategy.
They have to, because if they don't, the initiatives don't get funded. The CFO is the one having those hard conversations late in the day.
Like when a project goes over budget.
Exactly. When a flagship green project is suddenly bleeding margin, they have to decide. Does the firm absorb that loss for the sake of their reputation, or do they force the design team to compromise?
Wow. And to avoid those budget blowouts, they must rely heavily on the 10th role on our list, the Chief Technology Officer.
Right, the CTO, making about $280,000.
They are the third pillar of this internal engine room. The source says they own the firm's technology trajectory, and it mentions things like BIM and digital twins.
Yeah, that's crucial tech.
For anyone outside of architecture, including me sometimes, what exactly are we talking about here?
So, BIM stands for Building Information Modeling. It's basically a highly detailed 3D digital representation of a physical place.
Okay, I got it.
A digital twin goes even further. It's a live virtual model designed to accurately reflect a physical object in real time.
Okay, so how does a fancy 3D model help the firm hit its climate goals?
Because of a concept called embodied carbon. Usually we just think of the electricity used to keep the lights on.
Right, the operational stuff.
Exactly. But embodied carbon refers to all the greenhouse gas emissions associated with manufacturing, transporting, and installing the materials themselves. The steel, the glass, the concrete.
Ah, so the carbon is embodied in the physical stuff before the building even opens its doors.
Precisely. And the CTO implements software that can instantly calculate that embodied carbon. So if an architect swaps a steel beam for mass timber, the software updates the carbon footprint and the cost immediately.
Oh, wow. So they stop reinventing the wheel on every project.
Exactly. The CTO automates the reporting so the firm can actually measure performance at scale.
I am having a massive realization here.
Yeah.
If the CEO is steering the ship, these three, the COO, CFO, and CTO, are down in the boiler room making sure it doesn't explode.
That's a perfect analogy.
But wait, based on this, do the CFO and CTO actually have more practical impact on a building's carbon footprint than the lead architect drawing it?
That is the hard truth of the corporate machine. Yes.
Really?
Yeah, an architect can sketch the greenest building in the world on a napkin. But without the CTO's data to prove it, the CFO's modeling to fund it, and the COO's systems to build it, that good design never gets built. It just remains a drawing.
That is wild to think about. Okay, so the internal engine is humming. The firm is efficient. Now they have to figure out what to actually sell and where to grow.
Right, time to face the market.
Exactly. We are moving up the list from internal operations to the market strategist. Entering the $290,000 salary range with role number 9, the executive director.
So an executive director usually runs a major division. It's almost like a business within a business.
Okay.
Their job is positioning. They look at the market and decide, are we going to be a division that's sustainable by default? Or maybe we specialize purely in retrofitting older buildings.
I'm a bit lost here, though.
Yeah.
Because right above them at number 8 is the general manager. They're earning $300,000, and they're also a market-facing leader.
Yes, then they are.
So if the executive director owns the positioning, what is the general manager actually doing? Or are they just stepping on each other's toes?
It's a subtle but critical distinction. The executive director focuses on the type of work. The general manager is a full business owner inside the enterprise. They figure out how to monetize it.
Monetize the sustainability, you mean?
Exactly. Do they offer advisory services? Do they sell their data reporting? More importantly, the GM sets the guardrails for the entire operation.
Guardrails meaning what exactly?
Meaning what compromises are strategically acceptable. They are the shock absorber between the firm's environmental mission and the commercial reality of keeping the lights on.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because I can see a massive tension there. Say it's the end of the quarter, revenues are down, and a client comes in with a massive lucrative project, but it's basically a carbon bomb.
A total disaster for the environment, yeah.
It goes against everything the firm claims to stand for. Can you imagine the ethical burden of that? Being the single person who decides if that dirty project gets the green light just to meet margin targets.
It's a severe strategic tightrope. If the GM rejects too many high-margin projects, the business unit fails. People lose their jobs.
Right.
But if they accept that dirty project just to make payroll, they risk destroying the firm's credibility. One hypocritical project can ruin their brand equity for a decade.
It's all about strategic fidelity, which naturally leads us to the person looking even further down the road. Number 7, the chief strategy officer, pulling in $310,000.
The CSO is the architect of the firm's future footprint.
They're looking past this quarter, right?
Way past, 3 to 5 years out. They look beyond organic growth toward M&A mergers and acquisitions and partnerships. They target climate-related growth areas.
So like buying up smaller niche firms.
Exactly. Like ESG reporting, environmental, social, and governance. Clients aren't just asking for green buildings anymore. They're demanding audit-proof data to show regulators.
So the CSO might just buy a boutique data analytics firm to bolt onto their architectural engine.
Precisely. Their late afternoons are spent doing scenario planning, asking, if we buy this firm today, what happens in 3 years?
All right, so we set the strategy. But who owns the ultimate risk? As we hit the middle of our list, we reach the chief executives.
The big bosses.
Yeah. But the source highlights something really important here. The CEO job changes drastically depending on the scale of the firm.
Scale changes everything. Let's look at number 6, the CEO of a small to mid-sized firm, making around $330,000.
At this level, the CEO owns everything, right? They're still close to the ground.
Very close. They handle major client relationships directly. They personally define if sustainability is just brand decoration or the actual brand foundation.
So they are like the captain of a speedboat, hands on the wheel, feeling every wave. But contrast that with role number 5, the CEO of a large or multi-office firm making $400,000.
This is a massive shift. This person becomes a systems CEO.
Meaning they aren't driving the boat anymore. They're sitting in an air traffic control tower.
Exactly. They lead through other leaders. Their biggest burden shifts to managing reputational risk at scale. Because one false greenwashing claim echoes much louder when you're a massive entity.
Which brings up role number 4, the managing director of global practice, earning $420,000. They navigate the absolute chaos of global operations.
It is incredibly complex. The climate, the building codes, material availability, it varies wildly across the world.
You can't just mandate a New York standard in a desert climate.
No, you have to set global principles while allowing for local intelligence.
I have to ask, though, look at this massive jump in salary and responsibility. As you move from a 330K CEO to a 400K systems CEO, you stop dealing with buildings.
You really do.
You start dealing purely with risk. Does a systems CEO even know what is happening on a construction site anymore? Or are they just looking at spreadsheets?
It's a fair question. The honest answer is they cannot possibly know what's happening on every site. That's the concept of leading leaders.
Because direct oversight is just physically impossible with that scale.
Exactly. It's entirely replaced by governance. They aren't checking the concrete pour. They're checking the dashboard built by the CTO, maintained by the COO, and funded by the CFO.
They have to trust the machine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we are at the absolute pinnacle of the list. We're in $500,000 territory.
The legacy builders.
Right. If CEOs manage present-day risk and global scale, who protects the firm's soul decades down the line?
That lands on the final three roles. Number 3 is the group CEO, or principal in charge, earning $450,000.
Sitting above the divisional CEOs.
Yes. Their job is enterprise coherence, making sure multiple business lines have one culture and one profit engine. Ensuring sustainability is enterprise-grade everywhere.
Which clears the path for number 2, the executive chair, making $500,000 a year, often a founder or an owner.
The source describes this role beautifully as governance with gravitas.
Governance with gravitas, I like that.
They anchor the firm's long-term climate commitments. They are the ethical posture that survives beyond short-term quarterly performance cycles.
Which brings us to the very top. Number 1, the company president earning $550,000 a year, the top operator and public symbol.
The source states this explicitly. At this level, your signature is what the market believes about you and what you can prove.
So what does this all mean? The president is essentially the chief legacy officer.
That's a great way to put it.
I mean, they define the firm's ultimate legacy. Will they be known for climate-intelligent design and honest performance, or just good marketing with inconsistent outcomes?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the irony is profound. You reach the number 1 spot, you are entirely insulated from day-to-day project failures.
Right, a delayed shipment doesn't cross your desk.
But you bear 100% of the responsibility for the historical narrative of the firm.
Think about your own career for a second. Anyone listening, which of these top seats sounds like a dream to you, and which sounds like an absolute nightmare?
It's a tough choice.
Do you want the pure execution of the COO, the ethical burden of the GM, or the heavy historical crown of the president?
It shows that idealism alone isn't enough. It takes a highly structured, heavily compensated ecosystem to build a sustainable future at scale.
It really does. What a journey down the list. From the operational engine to the legacy definer. Even if you aren't in architecture, this deep dive shows how power and environmental responsibility are distributed in any massive corporate machine.
But before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over.
Go for it.
We talked about the executive chair protecting goals beyond quarterly performance cycles. So if the ultimate test of these executives is protecting long-term climate commitments from short-term financial pressure, what happens when a massive architecture firm goes public?
Oh, wow.
When shareholders demand immediate profits, can a publicly traded firm ever truly maintain its environmental soul? Or is true sustainability only possible when a firm remains privately held?
That is a phenomenal question. The tension between Wall Street and the planet.